Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus Reports. Today is December 10th, 2025, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
What's up there, everybody? This is Ben Dickerson. I am your co-host. Let me get this embarrassing statement out real quick and we can move on. After bragging about week 13 when I went 69% on my winning percentage, last week I turned in a horrifying 36%. I
Whoa,
was terrible. I was
really?
terrible. Let me tell you something, man. There was a lot of games that ended up real funny. Real funny.
Not ha ha funny.
Not ha ha funny at all. And
Wow.
there's some teams out there that are really, really feeling like they're close enough to get a playoff spot and or a division title, and they are scratching and clawing for these games, which is great. It's
It
exactly
adds a
what we want
level
to
of
see.
excitement for sure, for sure.
Yes, sir.
Net Point Power Rankings, Bias Plus Reports rather, 62.5 points, percentage
Okay.
average. So
You're
not
holding
too
your
bad.
no, you're
Uh,
pretty much holding your average.
yeah, pretty much
Except for
holding
that
the
one
average.
week it was in the 80s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think for the season though, I'm 64%.
Okay.
So that's not too bad. And, we had a few outliers. Uh Saints, Titans, and Chargers.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
they weren't expected.
we're all
And
unexpected.
there's nobody out there that can tell me any different.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
People
saying?
might be, man, I can't believe you picked that game. You all picked that game, those games.
Those games. You know what I'm saying? Too crazy, too crazy. All right, let's look at the upcoming matchups. Benny, I chose this for the background for the Eagles in case they needed a play because it looks like they might need some plays.
Don't, that's you. That's not me. That's me. That's not me, y'all.
Let me tell you this real quick. My son was here, right, for the
Oh
game,
boy.
for the Eagles game. He didn't have his any Eagle stuff on, the supposed Packer fan, but he was rooting them on. And as it came down to the wire, that last drive, here comes Hurts, and he's driving him downfield. And I'm sitting there, and I just said out of the clear blue, don't know why I said it. I said, I smell a turnover. Oh my God. Benny, I have not been on it like that. That was almost just surreal. He turned around, threw that pick, and then Chris Howell, you a hater. I'm like, I'm not a hater. I've just been watching football for a long time, you know?
Dude, I am so sick of that word. People misuse that. That's just like the go-to throw out there when somebody says something you don't like. That's ridiculous.
I know, I know.
You
But they
smelled a turnover and you were right.
I know, I should have got kudos for that,
Why does that make yes? It should have been like, wow, how'd you know?
You know? All right, that's okay. Long story short, he knows where the matchups are. Let's go for the first one, and we're talking about Thursday night football here, Benny.
Yes, sir.
Bias Plus reports for week 15. Falcons at Buccaneers. Bias Plus score 4.7 favors the Buccaneers. Day favors the Buccaneers. Now, net point wise, they're pretty close. Buccaneers are ranked 21st, Falcons are 23. Buccaneers have a pretty good advantage on the turnover differential side, and all added up to a bias in their favor. So there you go. Buccaneers over the Falcons. What you got?
Well, we always talk about division games, and we're going to talk about a lot more division games that happened this past weekend, and we have coming up this weekend because, like I said, teams are fighting for playoff position. There's only going to be a couple of divisions that have more than one team make it to the playoffs, which could bump some other teams out unless they're able to win their division. So again, especially coming down the stretch, division games are crazy important. And they're that way because they're always tough and anything can happen. And crazier things have happened, but here's one that happened. The division leading Buccaneers fell to the 2-win bottom dwellers, the New Orleans Saints. Nobody picked that game. Nobody picked the Saints to win that game. At this point, winning the NFC South is the key to making the playoffs. And the Bucs still have to play the Panthers twice. How they got that team twice at the end of the season, only the schedule makers will know. But that somebody's going to get tripped up here. This could be ugly here. I don't know what to say. I hate to speculate on this one, but yeah, they got to play the Panthers twice in the last 3 games, and they both have the same record at this point. So now let's get this out of the way. The Falcons got blown out by the Seahawks 37-9, and there was absolutely nothing they could do about it. They looked really bad. They've been eliminated from playoff contention, and the only thing that's left for them is to try to put something out there positive on tape for next year. That being said, I don't see this division game being a problem. I think the Bucs are going to pull it together and get the win because they really, really need it.
All right, going with the bias, going with the Buccaneers. Next up, we have Raiders at Eagles. And the bias plus score is 13.5 here, Benny, favoring the Eagles. They should be happy. This looks like a get-right type game, maybe. But the Raiders are ranked 31st in net points. The Eagles are 14th. And the Raiders are minus 0.2 average turnover differential, and the Eagles are plus 0.2. So the Eagles have it, statistically all the way, unless the Raiders want to show something that we haven't seen yet. But long story short, the Eagles are favored here. What you got?
Well, the Raiders lost to Denver last week, 24-17. They've obviously been eliminated from playoff contention. So again, the players are trying to get something on tape. That's pretty much all they got to play for. Starting quarterback Geno Smith injured his right hand and his shoulder, so he's questionable to play this weekend. I haven't heard anything about practice yet or what he did today, if he was limited or whatever. Now, the Eagles, coming off the bye, I thought the best thing the Eagles could do to improve their offense was to take that extra time and make a bigger commitment to the run game, meaning they would need to scheme up something to get Saquon going. He had 20 carries for 122 yards and a touchdown. That wasn't bad. But if you take away the 52-yard run, this is what people miss, okay? If you take away the 152-yard run he had, that means he had 19 carries and averaged 3.7 yards per carry.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not mad at that.
That's right.
Okay? Because 20 carries is a healthy workload. But guess what? It could have been more. It should have been more. When they really needed to be able to run, after the Chargers tied the score at 16 with 7+ minutes left in regulation, this is what happened. They ran the ball once and went 3 and out on one possession. The next possession, they ran the ball twice during an 8-play drive that ended in a field goal. So they ran it twice. They threw it 6 times. Then they ran it twice in overtime on a 9-play drive that ended with Jalen Hurts' interception and a 22-19 loss. How you lose faith in a running back? I hear people talking about Saquon Barkley lost a step. If you saw him running on that 52-yard run, he hasn't lost anything. What's been lost is their belief in the run game. It's probably because the offensive line isn't, quite.
Now you're hitting it on the head there, Benny.
I'm sure of that, but
that's where I see it.
Yeah, but you can't lose faith in a main component of your team like that. There has to be something else you can do. You can't just look at your line and say, "Oh, we don't have this guy," and this guy's not as good as this guy, so we can't run the ball. What do you mean you can't run the ball? That's I don't understand that. But anyway, looks to me like the only NFC East champ is going to make the playoffs. So the Eagles are going to need to get this win to hang on to the lead and make sure that they get the NFC East title. I am going to pick them to beat the Raiders. You're right. This should be a get right game.
All right. Going with the bias, going with the EAG. I forget it. Going with the Eagles. I'm just feeling fussy today. What can I tell you? All right, here we go. Next up, Jets at Jaguars. Bias plus score of 18.7 favors the Jaguars. Benny, they're not playing. Them guys 11th ranked for net points versus the 28th ranked Jets.
All right, let's get the Jets out of the way first. They got smacked around at home by the Dolphins last week, 34-10. Ugh. Obviously, they've been eliminated from making the playoffs at this point. And to tell you the truth, it's hard to watch a Jets game, man. It really is. They still got quarterback issues. I think they played an undrafted rookie this week after Tyrod Taylor went down. It's really getting ugly up there for the Jets. Now, the Jags are hot. They won their fourth consecutive game, beating the Colts 36-19. It wasn't as close as it sounds. Trevor Lawrence was pretty impressive. The ground game was solid. The defense is tied for second in interceptions. Like I said before, when we were talking about turnover differential, they're still up high with interceptions, but they're not getting a lot of forced fumbles and fumble recoveries. But anyway, they grabbed 2 more against Indy. They can't relax, though. They have to continue to play well because they got to hold off Houston for that AFC South title. I don't see them having any trouble with the Jets. I'm going to go with the bias and take the Jaguars.
All righty, going with the bias. Going with the Jaguars. That's a pretty healthy bias too, Benny. That's a pretty healthy bias, no doubt. All right, here we go. Here we go. I sound like Dak, don't I? Here we go. Here we go. Cardinals at Texans. Bias plus score 15.7 favors the Texans, Benny. So that would be that defense now again. The starter for the Cardinals is the backup, right?
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett, who's actually played pretty decent. I don't think he's quite up for the Texans, though. What do you got?
Well, the Cardinals obviously been eliminated from playoff contention. They lost to the Rams last week, 45-17. Here's an ugly fact. This was the third time that the Cardinals had 40-plus points scored on them by a division opponent. Sad but true. Now, the Texans, on the other hand, they still have a top-ranked defense. They intercepted Patrick Mahomes 3 times, and C.J. Stroud led a perfectly balanced offensive attack to beat Kansas City 20-10. That was a road victory for Houston also, by the way. They seem to be getting hot at the right time. They still have a shot at overtaking the Jaguars for the AFC South title. Very tightly contested. That's the word I was looking for. Very tightly contested division. Jaguars are going to have to stay on their P's and Q's because Houston is coming. I expect the Texans to beat the Cardinals. Going with the bias again, I'm going to take the Texans.
Oh, yes. Going with the bias, going with the Texans. All right. Next up. Ravens at Bengals. Bias plus score of 6.5 favors the Ravens, Benny. Now, is Lamar good?
I don't know. I heard analysts on television saying they don't know.
Really?
It seems like there's always something, an ankle, a knee, a shoulder. He's banged up. He does not look right. And this is a division game, and their defense is slacking, and Joe Burrow is firing. Now, I will say this. T. Higgins is back in concussion protocol. He banged his head on the turf several times in their game last week. I don't think he's going to play this week, but I don't know. how big of a difference that's going to make. Anyway, the Ravens are still in contention for the AFC North title, which might be their only shot at making the playoffs. I'm pretty sure that will be their only shot at making the playoffs. Losing a division game to the Steelers had to hurt. That's what happened to them last week. I always give my Derrick Henry report. He got 25 carries. Now, he only gained, and I say for him, only 94 yards. But two crucial plays that went to review doomed the Ravens. They both went against them. They played the Steelers. One of them was a pass that got batted in the air by Aaron Rodgers' pass that got batted in the air. It came down. There was a pile up. And when they cleared the pile, Rodgers had the ball. So they determined, without a clear picture of it to me, that he caught his own batted pass. And they were able to keep possession. The other one was what looked to me like a catch by Isaiah Likely in the end zone, all hands, nobody catch, all hands, 2 steps as he was running through his route, caught the ball, all hands, held the ball out here, strong, so the defender couldn't get to it and knock it out, took 2 steps, at which point the defender hit his arm and he dropped the ball. They said that was an incompletion. I don't know what a catch is anymore. I just don't. I thought I did, but I don't. Anyway, that's what killed the Ravens in a game that they had a couple of different chances to win. That's going to hurt them because they're trying to keep pace with the Steelers, and that was a head-to-head loss to the Steelers. Now, after yet another slow start to the season and a defense that's severely compromised, the Bengals need Joe Burrow to win games by outscoring whoever it is that they play. He's been trying to do it too. In fact, it worked the week before when they played Baltimore, whose defense, I said, is starting to slack off. But in their game against Buffalo, they made too many mistakes, and they weren't able to run the ball, at least not well enough to hold off the Bills. Their playoff hopes are slimmer than slim. And I believe that the Ravens will. No, I don't. No, I don't. T. Higgins is hurt.
Yeah, he sure is.
But Lamar, he's just. I'm going to pick the Bengals. I'm going to go against the bias, and I'm going to take the Bengals. They're at home.
Okay.
I'm going to take the Bengals in this game.
Going against the bias.
We're going to tighten the screws. We're going to tighten the screws in the AFC North.
It would do that. Yes, it would. It would do that for sure, for sure. All right, Benny, I'm not sure about your sanity on this one, but let's go. Ravens at Bengals. Bias plus score favors the Ravens. Ben's going with the Bengals. All right, next up. Chargers at Chiefs. This could be an interesting game. Bias plus score of only 1.8, less than 2 points, favoring those Chiefs, Benny. Chargers ranked 13th in net points, Chiefs ranked 10th. I saw a lot of plays where I thought Herbert missed or didn't see people that was right in front of him. So I think I'm starting to join you with some of my skepticism about Herbert. What do you got?
Well, let me talk about the Chiefs first. They will be at home, by the way. So they had a 20-10 loss to Houston last week. It didn't eliminate them from playoff contention, but they're basically on life support. It's been a tale of 2 seasons for them. A very telling stat, and I'm sure you've heard it a few times. Last season, they won 11 one-score games. This season, they've lost 6 one-score games. What they thrived on last year is killing them this year. Another loss will probably be the end for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers pulled out a very hard-fought overtime win against the Eagles. Like you said, Herbert doesn't play great, but they got the job done. Now they find themselves in the thick of the playoff hunt. sitting right behind Denver in the AFC West, and they can pretty much eliminate Kansas City with a win this weekend. And I'm going to pick them to do so. I'm going against the bias. I'm going to take the Chargers to get this Kansas City thing over with.
Going against the bias again, ain't Ben?
Yes, sir.
Going with the Chargers over the Chiefs, even with your Herbert skepticism. And he still
No,
got
I didn't
that
say I
one
was
hand that's
skeptical.
wrapped up.
I just said he had some issues in the Eagles game. That's all.
Okay. All right. Well, the Eagles defense can create some issues for a quarterback, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And he was definitely under pressure, no doubt. No doubt.
And the Chargers offense can run the ball.
Okay. All right.
And the Chiefs defense is
questionable. All right. Well, that's a close bias. So Ben's going with the Chargers and going against the bias. All right. Next up, Browns at Bears. Shador versus Caleb. Bias plus score 11.5 favors the Bears, Benny. Browns are 25th ranked net points. Bears are 15th. And the Bears are first in turnover differential at plus 1.3. So it all adds up to a bias favoring the Bears. What do you got?
well, obviously the Browns have already been eliminated from the playoffs, but Shador is playing pretty well. So because the Shador Sanders era has begun and is kind of chugging along, that keeps the Browns games interesting. I will be sure to watch. But they got to go to Chicago. And the Bears, who lost a heartbreaker to division rival Green Bay, ran a very balanced attack that allowed them to stay in the game. That's something that they've been doing over the course of the season, a little better and better each week as Caleb gets a little better and better each week. They had a great chance to win the game with 22 seconds left, but Caleb underthrew an open receiver in the end zone, and his pass got intercepted, and they ended up losing the game 28-21. I don't think they're going to have much trouble with the Browns at all. They can't afford to lose a game anyway if they're going to make sure that they get into the playoffs. So I'm going to pick Chicago to beat the Browns.
All right. Going with the bias, going with the Bears. Just real quick, Benny, what do you think about that choice that the Browns made on the goal line, going with the little trick wildcat as opposed and taking out Shador, who was on a heater?
At first, I was thinking to myself, when they asked Shador about it, he was like, hey, it's a play we practiced. They decided to run it. Who am I to say, I should have been in there or not in there? The coach made the call. It didn't work. It's how it goes. I'm just happy to be out there. I do what I'm supposed to do when I'm out there. Great answer, which he always gives great answers to these little trick questions that the media try to give him. But then I saw another interview where he said, yeah, we practiced it and it didn't work in practice either. So after I heard that, I was like, Now, why people are trying to make it like he's trying to sabotage Shador still, I don't know. I think this knucklehead coach has been through so much this season with everything that he does and every decision that he makes being questioned that he tried to get a little cute there and it messed him up. So
Yeah, well, to me, it was a matter of going away from the hot hand. You had a hot hand there.
Well, yes, that was obvious. But again, throwing a wrinkle, if it works, he's a genius.
It worked. It worked in the previous game where he took Shador out and he ran a wildcat, but I think everybody was surprised at that point.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a different situation
figuring he
too,
might do
wasn't it?
that.
Was that a play from scrimmage or was that for a 2-point conversion?
It was a goal line play. I remember that.
Oh, it was a goal line play. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
it was a goal line, and it worked. The wildcat worked.
Right.
But again, now we've seen it.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep an eye out for that. All right, going with the bias, going with the Bears. Next up, Commanders at your New York Football Giants, Benny, and the bias plus score of 1.5. favors your Giants. Ah, yeah. Very close net points. Commanders ranked 27, Giants ranked 26. And the Giants are just a little bit better on turnover differential. Everybody's in the negative, but the Giants are a little less negative and favored in this case. What do you got?
So the Commanders suffered a very embarrassing 31-0 loss to the Vikings, which was crazy because I picked them to win that game because the Vikings had just got shut out the week before. But they bounced back. J.J. McCarthy looked better. Surprise, surprise.
Yes, he did.
Now, obviously, the Commanders are eliminated. And to tell you the truth, after seeing what I saw last week, I think they're done. We can pretty much stick a fork in them. The Giants are coming off the bye. They're going to be at home. Last time we saw them, they were getting handled pretty easily by New England, which was kind of expected. Right now, it looks like they're set to get the number 1 pick in the 2026 draft. So I almost don't want them to win this game, but they don't need to tank for a quarterback. So I'm picking them to win this game.
All right. All right. So, very interesting. Very interesting. Commanders at Giants, picking the Giants to going with the bias, going with the Giants, right?
Right.
There you go. There you go. Okay. Next up. Ooh, Bills at Patriots. This is a hot division right here. Bias plus score of 2.9. Benny favors the Patriots. Ooh, baby. Bills ranked 6 in net points. Patriots ranked 3rd in net points. Makes all the difference. What do you got on this?
This is one of my game of the week nominees. Division, tightly contested, both teams playing well. The Bills had to come from behind in the fourth quarter to hold off the Bengals last week. And they were at home. And they were playing in the snow, which actually is probably a plus for the Bills. Once again, Josh Allen was pretty much spectacular, but make no mistake about it, he's going to have to be real special when they go up to Foxborough this weekend. Now, the Patriots are coming off the bye, makes them a little bit more dangerous. Last time we saw them, they were handling the Giants with relative ease. And yes, they will be home. Yes, I'm going to take the Patriots to beat the Bills.
All righty there. Going with the bias, going with the Patriots. There you go. There you go. Next up, Colts at Seahawks. No way in the world to me the bias plus of 3.8 favors the Seahawks. I think that the season numbers for the Colts are what is throwing us off here.
That's what it's all about. That happens.
That happens, yeah. I mean, Colts are 4th in net points. Seahawks are 1st. Colts scoring 28.9. Seahawks scoring 29.8. Colts giving up a few more points at 21.9. Seahawks giving up 17.4. And we have the possibility of one Phillip Rivers quarterbacking the Indianapolis Colts. It's been the hottest topic all week. What do you got on this?
Well, let's get this Seahawk thing out of the way. They're 10-3. Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. Yeah, they got back on track. Their blowout road win over Atlanta last week looked good. They look strong. Now at 10-3 and with a head-to-head matchup versus the Rams in week 16, division matchup, fight for the division title. Anyway, it's still in their sights. I don't want to call this a trap game. I guess I could actually call this a trap game. That makes this Colts matchup a potential trap game. They cannot look ahead to the Rams. As big a game as that is, they have to stay focused and keep their eye on the Colts. Now, let's see if we can figure out this Colts thing. The Colts started out the season, at one point they were 7-1. At this point, over the last few weeks, they're actually beginning to unravel. They lost 3 in a row. They lost 4 of their last 5. and their chances of winning the AFC South is slowly slipping away if it hasn't completely slipped away. In fact, they got dominated by division rival Jacksonville. They lost Daniel Jones for the season. Their rookie backup, Riley Leonard, suffered a sprained knee, and the team signed 44-year-old Phillip Rivers off the couch after 5 years of retirement. Now, shortly before we started the show today, I heard that Riley Leonard had a full practice. So now, whether or not Phillip Rivers will be promoted to the active list, because he's actually signed to the practice squad at this point.
Right.
So whether or not they'll make him active remains to be seen. Whether or not they make him the starter remains to be seen. They might try to hold off and let Riley Leonard play and see what happens. But like I said, he wasn't limited at practice, so his knee seems to be okay. They may go ahead and do that. Either way, there's little to no chance that they'll be able to beat the Seahawks. Darnold's hot, the run game's smoking, and the Seahawks defense is top notch. Riley Leonard or Phillip Rivers is not going to be able to save these boys. I'm telling you, it's just not going to happen. And the top notch defenses have all been giving Jonathan Taylor a lot of trouble lately. So I'm definitely going to go with the Seahawks.
All righty, going with the bias, going with the Seahawks. There you go. Next up, Panthers at Saints. Bias plus score of 6.2 favors the Panthers. Unless Tyler Shook gets his thing going.
This is a funny one. This is a funny one. So the Saints are playing spoiler all over the place. They upset the Bucs last week, 24-20. Now they play the Panthers, and the Panthers at this moment are breathing down the Bucs' necks. Most likely, only the division winner will make the playoffs, and since both these teams won't meet again, it's crazy that the Saints have so much to say about both of their futures. That's funny. Now, the Panthers themselves are coming off the bye. That's a bit of a plus for them. They will be visiting Tampa Bay, though. Now, last time we saw them, they were shocking the Rams, 31-28. Extremely big win for them. They're making a really, really big push for the NFC South title. Whew. Yeah, too much at stake for the Panthers. I'm sorry, I said they're going to be on the road in Tampa Bay. They're going to be on the road at the Superdome against the Saints. Even though the Saints played well last week and upset the Bucs, it was in fact an upset. They will not upset the Panthers. I'm going to pick the Panthers to win and make things, extremely tight for the Bucs in the NFC South. That division deserves to go down to the wire.
All righty. Going with the bias, going with the Panthers. Next up, Titans, Tennessee at my beloved San Francisco 49ers. Bias plus score 15.3 favors the Niners, Benny. Titans in last place in net points. Niners in 12th place. What do you got on this?
Well, we saw something that we haven't seen much, if at all, in Tennessee this season. The Titans got big plays in all three phases. They took advantage of Cleveland mistakes, and they rode a strong running game to their second win of the season, 31-29 over the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Niners coming off the bye, had an extra week to prepare. Last time we saw the Niners, they were taking care of business against those same Browns. So I'm going to say this is pretty much a no-brainer. I'm going to go with the Niners.
No-brainer, going with the Niners, eh? All right, there you go. There you go. Go get
Need a big game from Brock Purdy for fantasy.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. I would like to see that. I would like to see that. There you go. All right. Next up. Oh, Now, is this also one of your contenders for game of the week? Lions at
Absolutely. Yes,
Rams.
it is. Yes, it is.
Bias plus score of 5.6 favors the Rams, Benny. Yes. We're talking Lions, fifth place net points, Rams, second place net points. What do you got?
Well,
Lions got a much needed win over Dallas last week. That keeps them alive in the playoff race. They really needed it because they took a couple L's they shouldn't have took this year. Now they are on the bubble. They're one game behind the Packers and the Bears with a really tough matchup this week in LA against the Rams. This is without a doubt a must win for the Lions. Won't be no cakewalk for the Rams either, though. They're in a similar situation in the tightly contested NFC West. Last weekend, they flexed their muscles against the Cardinals. Wasn't that big of a deal. Much better team than the Cardinals. It almost was like a little warm-up for their final push here. After this game against the Lions, they have a head-to-head against the Seahawks. Again, well, it's the Lions, so I can't call it a trap game. But they got the Seahawks the following weekend, which is going to be a division game, which will be much bigger than this one. But it won't be. It'll be extremely, really much bigger if they don't beat the Lions. So, in fact, most likely that game will determine the division championship. So it's a must-win for the Seahawks for one reason, and it's a must-win for the Lions for another reason. Both reasons equally as important to each team. Oh, my goodness gracious. No way I can turn my back on the Rams. Again, they did have a little hiccup there a week ago, but Matt Stafford is on a heater. Kyron Williams is healthy. Puka is smoking.
Puka's ridiculous.
I am hard pressed to think of another receiver who is clearly better than Puka Nacua right now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you'd have to look at Seattle receiver and Buku. I mean,
JSN, yeah, he's playing great
too. Yeah. So
okay, they're 1-2. They're both
top
of their game.
Top notch, no doubt about it. And that one catch that Puka made was ridiculous, absolutely. All right, going with the bias, going with the Rams. Next up, Packers at Broncos. Now this is a good game too, Benny, because the bias.
Packers got the bias?
Yes, 2.2. Not a lot, but they got it. Packers ranked 8th, Broncos are ranked 9th, Benny. But Packers have that positive turnover differential, and the Broncos have a negative turnover differential. And when your score is that close, it can make the difference. So
here's the funny thing. Remember when we talked about the top defenses, and I said these are top 5 defenses without a doubt?
Right.
They all have something special going for them. Turnovers is not what's special for the Broncos. It's sacks. They are far and away the best team in sacks. And that's what's got them up there. Now, that being said, boy, oh boy, oh boy. So the Packers were able to hold off the Bears in the standings with a 28-21 win that they sealed with a really big defensive takeaway at the end of the game. That was that Caleb Williams interception, which if he had thrown that a tick sooner and an inch or two higher, the Bears would have won that game. That when they talk about the NFL's a game of inches, they're not kidding. They have a real tough matchup. That's the Packers we're talking about. They have a real tough matchup against the Broncos, who could be the number 1 seed in the AFC. I think they're sitting in that spot at the moment. Now, the Broncos have a 2-game lead over the Chargers in the AFC West, but they may still need to win out to secure the division title. It ain't sweet over there. It's still going to be tough. I don't want to say this is a must-win for the Broncos, but it makes things a lot easier for them. As great a season as they've had, they really can't afford to relax just yet. I've said before, and I say it again, trusting the Packers is hard. But lately, they've been looking pretty solid. Can't find too much wrong with them. Much improved on defense, running the ball well with Josh Jacobs. J Love been looking good. I shouldn't call him J Love, should I? That sounds kind of corny. Anyway, I'm going to go with the Broncos in my high. I'm going to take the Broncos.
All right, Benny, going at mile high, going with that thin air. Going against the bias, going with the Broncos. And it's a small bias, so that makes, not totally crazy. Not totally crazy. All right, next up.
Are you saying some of my picks are totally crazy?
No, I'm saying it's not totally crazy because it's such a
Not
small
that
bias.
one. That one's not totally crazy.
Right.
That sounds like when I go against the bias, sometimes I'm totally crazy.
Sometimes you are.
See, that's what. Isn't that what I just answered?
But not in this case. Not in this case.
Not in this case.
Not when you only have a 2.2 bias in your favor.
Okay.
Either way. That for sure. That can go either way. All right. Next up. Vikings at Cowboys. The bias plus score of only 2.8 favors the Cowboys, Benny. They're ranked 17th, where the Vikings are ranked 20th. J.J. McCarthy came out and played pretty well last week. Tell us what you think about this one.
Oh, boy, I tell you. Somehow there's still a sliver of hope for Minnesota. They shut out Washington last week, and they are not yet mathematically eliminated, but they are teetering. They're teetering. Now, the Cowboys are still on the bubble, too. But their 44-30 loss to Detroit last week has them looking really, really shaky. Both these teams are capable of putting up points, although the Cowboys' offense seems to be a little bit stronger. Both of these teams have been challenged defensively lately, although the Vikings look pretty good defensively against the Commanders, but it was the Commanders. This is a tough one. I know it's going to seem like, no, it's not. I'm going to go with the bias. I'm going to take the Cowboys. I was getting ready to talk myself out of it.
Sunday Night Football. Vikings at Cowboys. You said you're going with the bias?
I'm going with the bias, and I'm going with the boys.
Going with the boys. Okay. Well, we know they can score. Question is, can they stop even the Vikings? That's the question.
The question is, can they get after JJ?
Huh?
If they get after JJ, they'll have not too tough of a game.
There you go. At least we get to see the whole game because it's Sunday Night Football. And as we always say, the only thing better than Sunday Night Football, Benny,
is sometimes
Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football.
Dolphins at Steelers. The bias plus score of 4.2 favors the Steelers, Benny. They're ranked 16th in net points. Dolphins are 19th. Small differential, but the Steelers also have the turnover differential in their favor.
This could be a very interesting game. This could be a very, very interesting game. The Dolphins are eliminated from the playoffs, but their win over the Jets last week was an accomplishment for them and for Tua, if for no other reason than it was in New Jersey and it was doggone cold out there. And you know what we always say about Tua, especially in Miami also in cold weather come this time of year. They don't usually do very well. So now with the game coming up in Pittsburgh, they've seemed like they've kind of beat the cold weather thing, unless it's like sub-freezing in Pittsburgh this weekend, which I don't know if it's going to be or not. Anyway, the Steelers are clinging to the AFC North lead, and they'll need to win against the Dolphins to hold off the Ravens. The Ravens are still in their rear view. Baltimore does not have the tougher, Baltimore does have the tougher remaining schedule, though, but there's no way the Steelers can relax. So I'm going to say that if, in fact, the Steelers do not win this game, there's a real good chance that the Ravens can go 0-2, or 1-2, or 0-3 down the stretch. It's just the way that they're playing and the opponents that they have coming up. But I'm not saying that because I think, yes, I am saying that because I think the Dolphins are going to roll into Pittsburgh. Psych. I'm taking the Steelers. Go with the bias, take the Steelers.
Don't be setting me up with language. Oh, we're going to roll into Pittsburgh. Get rolled out of Pittsburgh.
They're going to get rolled out of Pittsburgh. I mean, sometimes when these teams have nothing to lose, it can get a little tricky. And, they do have Achane, and the Steelers do have some issues with running backs. But I think they're rallying around Tomlin, and I believe DK's healthy, and Aaron Rodgers is determined to go out on his shield, man. He's been toughing it out. I got to give it to him.
All right, going with the bias, going with the Steelers on Monday night.
Yeah.
Which wraps up the week of football, week 15. And leaves us one serious piece of business. I bet we talked about those teams that we didn't get last week, but I didn't mention one. And that one is one that you've talked about a little bit extra tonight.
The Vikings.
The Vikings with a bias plus buster score of 33.1 to be the bias plus buster of the week for week 14. Congratulations. JJ came out and did the darn thing. 33.1. That's pretty good, Benny.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think the Commanders are pretty much done. I think they've had it.
Commanders are pretty much done, eh?
I hope they're done because I like to see the Giants get another win.
Well, Benny, before we wrap up, our niece, one Miss Tanya DeVoe, called to tell me what she thought was wrong with Jalen Hurts.
Okay, this should be interesting.
And she said she thought her point was strong enough that we should talk about it on the show. And I said, well, I don't know. But let me just throw this out to you because you're going to give it a football review. What she said to me, she said, Jalen Hurts just got married.
Oh,
got a baby on the way. I think he's got something more on his mind than football. And I'm like, what do you got, Benny?
Nah, I'm sorry that I can't. Unless he's married, unless he married Kim Kardashian, I'm not. I can't buy that one.
Kim Kardashian. He'd have to go all the way to Kim Kardashian though.
If he married Kim Kardashian, then I might say that could be possibly a valid point. But no, I don't think that's it. I think it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but a big part of it is him specifically. That's just my opinion. Most Eagle fans are rallying behind Hurts. They're still pointing at the OC, and they're pointing at the offensive line, both of which are factors. But I cannot unhear Jalen Hurts saying that what you see out there on the field is what he wants you to see. Like he's in charge. He took ownership of what goes on out there on that field on offense about 4 weeks ago. And since he made that statement, it hasn't been good. And this last game, it was pretty much as bad as it can get. And it's crazy because, well, I don't want to get into it with these fans. I make comments on Facebook sometimes, and I only do it on people's pages that I have a pretty good rapport with, because one time I kind of went rogue and I got called out of my name and all kind of stuff. It was insane. I feared for my life. It was
Oh, jeez.
it was nuts. But people in Philadelphia, I understand you love your team. I understand you haven't had a lot to cheer about over the last few decades, if you're old enough to even remember that. And now you're really happy about your team and how they're doing in the Super Bowl last year and all that stuff. But this narrative that Jalen Hurts is being treated unfairly by the media, it has about that much basis
Validity.
behind it. Validity. Yeah, good word, validity. About that much. Okay. Yeah, they're hard on him. But guess why they're hard on him? Because they just won a daggone Super Bowl. And they didn't have a lot of turnover on the team. Now, yes, they've been hit with injuries. But what team hasn't been hit with? Look at the Chiefs. They were in the Super Bowl. They've been ravaged with injuries. But because people aren't crucifying Patrick Mahomes and they are coming after Hurts, everybody's all upset. But you got to remember, y'all talk about Hurts all the time, good and bad. I see Eagle fans arguing with people on Facebook, and they're Eagle fans. They're arguing with each other. Cowboy fans, Giant fans, random. There's a couple guys that are Indianapolis fans, Packer fans, except for your son. They have very little to say. And when they do say something, it's usually a valid point, and it's just a comment. Well, it looks to me like da da da. Other than that, you got how many people did you see go on there and say Hurts sucks? He's horrible.
Well, I did see.
They were talking about starting Tanner McKee. Are you kidding me?
I did see Chubb put Hurts in a clown outfit, and let me say to you, please try to refrain from encouraging our friend Mark Russell.
I didn't say nothing.
You just had a bunch of laughing emojis.
Yeah, I put like 100 laughing emojis in a row. And he knows why. He makes these outrageous statements. They're funny to me now.
Just laugh at him, man.
Yeah.
Well, I did something that I think might help, at least bring some perspective to Eagle fans and those fans who are kind of the nouveau riche in terms of Super Bowls. And just reminding people, there are only 9 back-to-back Super Bowl champions in history.
Right.
And if you go to our page, you will see
9 out of.
Listen, this is Super Bowl 60.
There you go.
So you will see some of the reasons here why Super Bowl champions generally don't repeat. It's just, as it says at the bottom, the NFL is basically a reality show where the plot twist is always, congrats on your championship. Now prepare to suffer.
Exactly.
So.
And suffering can come in several different forms. Some teams completely flop, don't even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Some teams start off fast and then fizzle at the end. Some teams start slow and they can't understand it. And then they start to pick it up at the end, but it's too late. It's all different kind, so this is nothing new. This is not exactly. This is par for the course.
This is what the NFL is designed to do.
Parity, baby.
Parity. There you go. There you go. All right, Benny. That's it for me.
I'm all done.
I'm all done. Everybody, please remember www.benandbarryonfootball.com. Please remember to click the notification button and ring the notification bell. I think I said it right that time. Everyone have a great weekend.